Okay, so here's the thing. Don't turn right now into forever, and don't turn right now into never. Language and what we associate with it, and therefore what we think and feel that's triggered from it, is very, very important. And a lot of the times we use these absolute terms. The mind tends to want to use these absolute terms. And I'm noticing this a lot lately in my internal dialogue, even when I'm not necessarily buying into it on a conscious level. I see my tendency to do that, and I hear it a lot in conversation with other people. And what's interesting is that we tend to apply these more when we're not feeling or experiencing what we want to. We'll have a really bad day for whatever reason. Maybe we get in a fight with somebody we love, or we lose a job. Something is just, it's when things are really not going our way, on the little end of the spectrum to the absolutely horrendous. And the thoughts just kind of snowball, and then we're having really intense emotional responses, and it's typically in that intense emotional state where we're feeling how we don't want, that we think, oh my God, it's going to be like this forever, or I'm going to feel like this forever. Or we tend to think, wow, it's never going to be like that. It's not possible for things to be like that. And the most tragic part of all of this is that we believe that voice. We believe that very negative part of ourselves, and we sort of, by paying attention to it and listening to it, we give it more energy to thrive in our consciousness. And anyone who's experienced that voice knows it doesn't take you to a good place. And to look at this kind of logically, you've survived a whole life. You've survived being let down. You've survived bad experiences. All of us have an arsenal of the past and an infinite potential in the future. So I'm just finding it kind of fascinating that we'll take a single moment spent in whatever our discomfort is and sort of cast it over everything. And this is so much easier said than done. I truly understand that. I'm working on this every day. I'm not perfect. I don't have this all figured out. But I know from the moments that it has worked, that it works. When you are truly present in this moment, you're not thinking about your past and you're not thinking about your future. You're really in the experience of this moment. It's typically, unless you are actually in a life or death threatening situation or something, it's typically you're not as stressed in this moment. And people will say all kinds of things. Oh, but like, what if this is happening, and what if that is happening? That's great. Let it happen. Watch it unfold. I'm not saying don't have an uncomfortable experience. And the first thing I think of when I say this is pain. And many people, my heart goes out to you, feel that it is not possible to be happy, not possible to be not stressed when you are experiencing the physical sensation of pain. And I understand that really, really deeply. Having chronic illness, I have spent a fair share of time in really bad pain. But I notice, depending on my attitude, depending on my thoughts, depending on how I'm feeling, pain in and of itself does not determine if I'm having a less than pleasant experience in that moment. It's what I'm thinking about it, what I'm feeling about it, and everything that's going on internally. And I'm just using this as one example. There are many things here. But this is an easy one because it's so visceral. So I'll invite you to do this. If you're experiencing pain or you're experiencing a discomfort, just breathe. Feel it. Let it have the space. If there's something you can do to change or improve yourself or what's happening in that moment, absolutely do it. If you're sitting on a thumbtack, please get off of it. It's not what I'm suggesting. I'm talking about the things that are beyond our control in that moment. And sometimes you can contribute cumulatively small things, and that will continue to get better. But sometimes in the moment, you're just in that moment, and in that space, there's not necessarily something you can do to shift yourself out of the immediate discomfort, even if you're moving towards a more long-term goal of improving that. And breathe. Feel into it. Give yourself permission to feel that. We so often run from a feeling of discomfort. I encounter this in yoga also, or in exercise, whatever form you choose. We're really good at doing the stuff we love to do and we think is fun and wonderful. And as soon as we hit a place that is a little tender or maybe not as strong as we'd like it to be, a lot of us are quick to, even if we don't give up, to just shy away from that a little bit more. And I'm inviting myself, I'm inviting all of us to just lean in. I mean, you don't have to push it far. Just take a moment to actually feel that tight space, whether it's in your physical body, in your emotional body, in your mental or your spiritual body. You're going to be okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to not feel great 100% of the time. We have a lot of positive media, positive thinking, influence on these positive aspects of life now to sort of lift us up. And I think that's great. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying there's not always space in our society and culture to feel deeper emotions that are moving. And right now in the world, I see a lot of them moving in other people. I feel a lot of them moving in me. And when you relax into it and you give yourself permission to just have the experience you're in and you stop fighting your reality, it becomes a lot easier to navigate. And you may have thoughts. A lot of people are talking to me lately about how their thoughts are racing and they just can't get them to stop. And I've had this experience. I've been stuck in the worry and the fretting about pointless things too. And the best advice that I can give is, one, get out of your head and into your body. Feel your toes. One of the best things I can recommend to anybody is literally feel your body. How often do you truly get into it and experience it? And I think I did a video on this a little earlier, but it's worth revisiting. If your mind is just going, I would say, one, give over what is out of your control. Not to give up, give over to whatever you believe is, a higher power in your life. or just the greater workings of life. And when I say that, it's not even necessarily to someone or something else or this greater spirit. It's just trust. Have a little faith that, whatever it is, here's this, you have this thing that is you're worrying about and you're fearing about and you're fretting about, but in this moment, there's nothing you can do about it. And when it gets to that point where it's just sort of the swirling, and you've done all that you can do, it's time to give over and have faith. Know that at some point, this will be resolved. And even if it doesn't resolve completely in the way you want it to, it's going to move and shift. Life will continue on. And the funny thing about this is there are constantly more, quote, problems, it seems like. No matter where we get, there's always something that could be different or better or something that we see that we need to fix. And that seems to be just an unending thing. So, and that's okay. I'm not trying to get rid of that. I'm just saying, realize it's okay. Those things are probably going to keep coming. So instead of this maniac to try to control and get a handle on all of them, just realize, okay, I'm going to trust that this will find a way to come together, and I'm going to let this go for right now. It's choosing to let go of what you can't control, I guess, is the simplest way to say it. I hope that's making sense. And then 2, then get in your body. When you have given over all that you can, focus on the present moment. And especially if you're a really, really anxious person, I find that it's harder to get in the present when you're so scattered and you're just sort of in that racing state. And we tend to get frustrated when we try things and they don't work immediately or work how we want them to. This is a practice. The mind is as much a muscle as any part of the body, and it is the least toned one in many people. So be gentle with yourself. It takes time. It takes consistent revisitation to this, and literally how your mind functions with neural pathways. You don't change that overnight necessarily. It's have the patience and compassion with yourself to continue to just show up in this space and see what happens. So if your mind wanders, it's okay. When you catch it, just bring it back. You don't have to be angry about it. You don't have to be upset about it. Just notice, oh, I went there. My thoughts went there. Okay. And then when you don't identify into the story of it, you just become the observer and gently shift your attention back to where you would like it to be. And I would invite you, for that place of where you'd like it to be present. Feel your breath. Feel it all the way down to your belly. And feel it all the way out. Notice the small things. Feel your socks on your feet or whatever surface they're touching. Notice the sounds you rarely do. See if you can hear the air moving around you. Close your eyes and feel the temperature of the room or the temperature of the environment you're in if you're outside. Feel the sensations that your body is offering you. And especially in those moments of stress, I almost guarantee you, if you take time to actually sit or lie down and make some space for yourself, you will feel what you're thinking about in your body somewhere, and typically in like a holding or a tension or a tightening. And just breathe into that space. When you physically move the body, it helps shift the mind as well. Just some food for thought. I'm having a lot of thoughts tonight. There are a million things I could talk about, but I'm going to try to divide this into somewhat coherent segments so we can stay a little bit organized here. So, yeah, hope that helps a little bit.